Oh, okay.
You're the one that. Go ahead.
Okay, I was born in 1933, okay? It's a long time ago. In my childhood, growing up, I was born on Walnut Street, okay? And my childhood was excellent. I walked down the street to the beach, okay? Or I could ride my bike up to Milliken Mills Pond, where we either went swimming or fishing, okay?
I love fishing.
That's another story, right? And in back of me, the place I was born, was the grandstand from the Old Orchard Beach kite track. Now, I'm not sure if you ever knew about that or not.
Yes, it's a horse racing track that's shaped like a kite. I think they
Ah.
tore it down. I don't remember how long ago, but I know they tore it down.
Yeah, around 1950, 51 or something. Anyway, so, but that grandstand was more than just a grandstand for the people watching the horse races. Because off-season, we would get down there and we would play tag inside the building and stuff, okay? We would also, in the winter, put a basket up, and then they had an area that was outside. So we'd put a basket up and we'd push the snow off, okay, and play basketball down there. And the young people in Old Orchard used to go down to the grandstand, take off their shoes, put on their ice skates, walk across the track, and there was an area of the marsh they always called Little River, and you could almost skate down to Pine Point by following different paths down through there. So basically, it was a great place to grow up.
Yeah. Do you have any siblings, or were you an only
I
child?
had a sister, but she was 9 years older.
Wow.
And like both siblings, I didn't like my sister.
Yeah.
You should tell them what you did when you were working at the elementary school. Kind of what,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay. When I was young, I probably started around maybe 10 years old or something like that. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But we had an apartment upstairs, and a man lived there with his father, and he was the janitor of the schools. Now, this was on School Street, and there used to be two buildings there, okay? So I would sweep those buildings. He would drop me off when I was just a kid, and I would sweep both buildings, okay?
Yeah.
And then in the winter time, when I got a license, and back in those days, you could get a driver's license when you were 14.
Lucky.
Sort of. It was pretty rural around here, okay? So we used to go down, and he'd go to the old fire barn, which was part of the town hall, all right? And they'd play cards until 9 o'clock in there, all right? So I used to take the old 1929 Model A Ford of Charlie's, okay? And I would go down to the schools on School Street, and I would take the flag down, fold it all up, put it in the kindergarten room, all right? And then if it was wintertime, I would also stoke the coal furnaces and pull out the clinkers. That's kind of metal that's in there and it welds together. So you pull those out, you'd shake the grate, and then I'd add more coal if I had to. So that was something additional.
You were 14 then?
When I would drive the car down, yeah, that's when I got my license. So
Yeah,
14, 15, yeah.
I can't imagine us ever driving at 14.
well, he also drove before he was 14.
I can, so help me.
Were there any big landmarks that people may not know about today that you may like to share? Like the donkey mines? Anything hidden like that?
What the old orchard was. Where Rite Aid is. The story you used to tell me on that.
Yeah, there was the old Orchard House, was, well, you know where Rite Aid is?
Yeah.
And on top of that hill right there was a huge, 400 and some odd people or something like that, it would take, and that was there for a lot of years, and they used to have a little stepping, not a walk, but a lifted area so they could walk down, right down to the corner of like the parking lot on the bottom of Staple Street. And that was there for, many years. It was a big thing. And it's funny because I can remember when I was in either kindergarten or first grade, which was on School Street, okay? And they were tearing it down. And you know the things that are weird? The guy was on top of this big building. I don't know how many stories they had, 3 or 4 stories or something like that. And it was a huge building. And he had a sledgehammer. And this is what's strange. He would hit, and it would be like a second after that you'd hear the sound. And I was so fascinated with that. And I kept watching that guy. And I can remember saying, whoever was with me, look, listen, watch. You know, he hits it, and it would be like, bang. But, you know, it was like that delay, you know? Weird. Isn't that something weird to remember forever?
Probably an air pocket in the sledgehammer. I mean, like, or something. Or it could be a phenomenon. Or is.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, you're looking at the thing of impact.
Then,
the sound arrives fractionally later, right?
Yeah, like.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a. Well, actually, it's not in Saco. I was thinking of the falls,
Oh,
the
yeah,
waterfalls
in Saco.
on the Cascade Road. Yeah,
Oh, Cascade.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another little story, quickly. I have no clue if it's true or not. Okay, but when I was
How much time do you have left?
None.
You had a story?
okay, I can tell you this. Like I say, I don't know if it's true or not. It's only what an elderly man told me. So when I was running the bank down there, a man in his, I'm guessing in his 80s, told me that they were digging for a water pipe. And if you go down the town hall, there's the town hall, then right there there's a parking lot, and then across the little street there's a parking lot. Okay? And this gentleman told me that when he was a kid, which could have been 1890 or 1900 or something, he said they were digging this water trench and they found the graves of 2 Indians. And he said they just, you know, saw this but covered it up and continued with the water pipe. So maybe they're still there and maybe they're not, but I thought that was, I never forgot that. And every once in a while I mention it to somebody, but, you know, I'd hate to be wrong. I mean, I just, what the man told me,
Yeah.
and he was an older man, probably like me, and so it was kind of neat. So anyway,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, this is. Is there anything else you would like to share? This is like the wrap up question.
You know, actually, what I recommended to Pat Brown one time was, you know, you get a few older people together, okay? And they have memories, you have memories, and lots of times you telling your story reminds them of something that happened then. There's nothing like a group discussion. Remember this? Oh, I'd forgotten about that, yes. And, you know, if you witnessed a group, you know, 6 or 8, 10 people, you know, and if you let them go and recorded the topics they discuss.
We're gonna stop on our way out and see Pat, and I'm gonna have you tell her that because we're gonna walk by the room she's in right now. We're gonna tell her.
You think that's a good idea?
That's an awesome idea.
You know-
You already recommended that to her. I know.
And
Well, I did in a way, but I'll recommend it again.
Let's do it.
Really,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I agree.
There's so many great memories here.
So
You know?
awesome.
And these 2 guys have
Like best, like top, like mountaintop best.
That's a tough question. It's, you know, it was a different world back then, and you could do whatever you wanted to do, basically. I mean, people didn't say, you know, you didn't see no trespassing signs on the woods, and there were a lot of woods in Old Orchard at that time, okay? So, I mean, to go out in the woods, anywhere, we'd build a little tree house or something, you know, and an interesting thing is back in those days, we never bought a Christmas tree. We simply went out in the woods, not ours, but someone else's, and
Just
cut the
cut 'em.
tree down. And no one cared. The people that owned the property never cared, and that went on for a long time. But
Until-
trying to find the peak thing I did as a kid, I'm not sure. I know, no, I'm not sure. I can't really, he just had a good childhood. It was a nice place to grow up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And slices of pizza only cost, I mean, a slice of pizza only cost 25 cents in those days too.
Yeah, not $4. You said, did you go through the OOB system? OOB?
Yeah.
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 Like, my grandfather, never mind. But do you have any favorite teachers or anything? Like this is not on the paper, but my grandfather said that some people burnt down the middle school.
The federal school,
Yeah,
they called it.
because nothing's on that. That wasn't on the history. I just found that out, and I'm wondering, like, is that how this school was kind of combined, or like?
The Jameson School, right? Okay, it was in that location, the federal school. And just to give you a couple of facts, it was during the Second World War, right? And lots of people moved into Old Orchard because they had the shipyards in Portland and they had the Navy Yard down in Kittery, all right? So lots of people came here. The trailer parks basically started then. And I just found this a little while ago. In 1941, there were 660 students in the whole school system.
Holy crap!
2 years later, in 1943, there were 1,357 students. They was jam-packed. Excuse me, the people that came in here lived in cottages and tried to winterize them in crazy ways. They stuck rolled up newspaper in the walls and stuff. And so that had a tremendous impact on Old Orchard. And that's when the trailer parks really took off.
Yeah, I actually live at Wild Acres. There's apartments there, and it's huge. I mean, there's like hundreds and hundreds of trailers there. You'd be surprised. Yeah, like, did you know any of the kids who burnt it down, like personally, or?
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, I'm a talker. I like to talk a lot. So,
You and I should
You'll be a
never
good
meet on the
politician.
street.
yeah.
It would never end.
Yeah,
You
when
gonna
I
ask me
took a
something?
test, it actually said
Well,
that.
we're supposed to do like clips of like questions, and then I don't know what the questions are exactly, so he's just like saying questions. Like we're supposed to like stop and take clips because Miss Brown is gonna like take clips and put them into like.
Okay, do whatever you need to do.
I was just asking him to tell
Yeah.
me when.
Brady, those were add-on clips.
Huh?
Question add-ons.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And they're like, because one of our questions was, did you live in did you live in Ubal, War?
Two.
Yes.
Becomes another long special.
See, like,
Yes.
that's why I was trying to keep that on, because I didn't even ask about that, and that's really
So
cool.
do you need the clip to do that one?
Yeah. Let's. Yeah.
You're in
Okay.
World War II now?
Yeah. Okay. Did you live in OOB during World War II?
Yes.
What was it like?
Okay. It was a complete change of pace. Remember I told you all the people moved down because of the shipyards. Now these were military, all right? The shipyard was building military ships. Kittery, they were building submarines, right? So all these people moved from way upstate. A lot of people from upstate came down, and New Hampshire moved in. And oh God, I just lost my train of thought there. But anyway, in Old Orchard, the town, at night, there were tons of people that came here. Many sailors that came, both from Navy, from the Navy Yard, because they were part of the Navy down there, and from Portland, where there were a lot of ships coming in. It was, everything was, well, I'm jumping around mentally here. on Walnut Street, where I was just a kid, the Army used to come down, and on one side of the street, right beside our property, they dug a place and put bags there, and then they had a cannon. They put a cannon there. Now this was practice, okay? And then on the other side of the street, there was like a foxhole where a guy could shoot rifles at him. So they used to come down every 2 or 3 weeks to practice. And of course, as kids, we get all excited about that. And as soon as they left, we jumped in and pretended we had all this information.
Did they leave the cannon there?
No, they never left the cannon there.
Because I can just imagine.
Now, there's another fact that along the coast and in the North Atlantic, there were German submarines. They were all over the place. As a matter of fact, I just read that in the North Atlantic, there were 171 ships sunk by the Germans. These were American ships trying to go to Europe, to England, and to supply our troops and the people over there. Now, I say they had submarines off the coast. When I was young, you could see there was military, well, it was a Coast Guard was doing quite a job on the coast. And then you'd see military airplanes that would go along, and then you'd see, every once in a while, a dirigible, okay? Now, the big helium-filled things that float through the air.
Like the hood blimp, you mean?
Pardon?
Like the hood blimp?
Yeah, like a blimp. Well, they used to, that's a blimp, call it if you want to. And they were powered, okay? And they used to go along the coast. Well, one time it flew over the pier, and you could look right up and see the bombs in the bomb rack. All right?
That must have been a little scary.
That was nice. Now, I spent 3 years in Germany in the military, okay? I was in the Air Force. And while I was there was another man from Old Orchard. I can't remember his name any longer. But he was telling me he met this man in a bar, I think. And he said the man spoke perfect English, and he said, I thought he was American. But actually, he was German, but he had gone to college in America. And then he went back to Germany, I guess probably before the war started, and he became part of the military. Okay? Now, he said, he told this friend that he said he was telling him that he had been a German spy. Well, the friend told him that he came from Maine. And he said, well, I was a German spy and in Maine. And he said, along with another man who had also been educated in this country and went back to Germany. And he said, our job was to go up and down the coast and list all of the fortifications. In other words, if the Germans attacked this country, they would have attacked here too, which was the reason for the cannons and stuff on Walnut Street. So, and the guy was telling him about, you know, how they did and what they did. And then he said, where in Old Orchard did you live? He said, I thought, maybe this guy isn't really telling the truth. You know, he didn't know. And he said, the guy asked him, the German, where did you live? And he said, Old Orchard Beach. And he said, oh, he said, we were there. He says, we went out on the pier. And he said, then he knew the guy was speaking the truth, you know. And so it had quite an effect on all of our lives, right?
Like, I never knew that, like, Maine doesn't seem like a state that would have a military, like a big, like, I can't imagine, like, Maine being fortified, like, every part of Maine, like, with cannons on the streets, stuff like
It
that.
really wasn't, okay? It's, one thing you can even look up on the internet is prisoners of war, POWs, in German POWs in Maine during World War II. And it'll tell you about there were 3 or 4 places where they used to keep the prisoners. And of course, from anything I've read, they were very happy. They weren't in the war any longer. They were getting fed, and they were safe. You know? So you could look that up.
Hockey player? Or, like, it was a like,
Are you talking about somebody at that time period that was out on the pier playing?
yeah, like, he was a famous
Something
musician.
Armstrong?
No, not Neil Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong?
Yeah, Louis Armstrong.
Yep.
Did you ever see him play?
No. When there was actually, when things were really booming, I was really young, you know, and we used to go out in the pier during the day, but I can remember once though going out there with Richard Smith, and there used to be, you'd go in the ballroom and there was a balcony, you could go up above it, and we went up on the balcony, and they had one of these lights, you know, that when it turned slowly around, it hit all the little things on the walls, you know, the stars or whatever it may have been in there. But I never went out there dancing. As a matter of fact, they even used to have a theater out there. Well, they had the outside theater, but sometimes they used to even show movies inside in the ballroom area.
Like was it like a normal theater or just like was it
Well,
unique?
what was a
in it?
normal theater years ago is a whole different world today. Okay, we had no technology then. You know, as a matter of fact, I hate to go off, but we had no. I was thinking about growing up when we had ice boxes, not refrigerators. There was no refrigerators. You didn't have You didn't have a air conditioner in your car, right? I'm going to tell my one last story about the telephone operator, right? Okay. Right up next to the town hall, there's a gray building. It has downstairs. It has a tattoo parlor, I think, and a beautician. Well, years ago, the post office was down there, and the telephone exchange was upstairs. Well, this is when you had our phones were a box on the wall, and it had a speaker coming out of it, and then you picked up this thing to hear, and then you rang the operator. Now, the operator was upstairs in that building, okay? And she had these lines, and you'd say, our number at that time was 455, okay? So you'd say, I want to call 462. And, she would answer the phone, number, please, and you'd say 462, please. Okay, so she'd take this thing, and there was all of these, just like an electrical cord or something,
or
pushing
plug.
it in, right, a plug, and pushing it in, and then she would ring that person so they could answer the phone.
We actually have you know the big watermill, like yeah, it's a. Trying to think. They use a cell phone tower there, I'm pretty
The
sure.
water tower
Yes.
at Patrice.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have all the antennas up there.
Yeah, like, do you remember anything about the water tower?
Well, at one time it held water for the town of Old Orchard
Yeah.
Beach, okay?
Like, did it break, or because I know if something that size broke, it would be like flood.
Oh, it would be horrendous.
Yeah.
I can't really remember why it stopped. Probably because
Rouse?
they had much more sophisticated pumps going on, so they could spread the water throughout Old Orchard without having to have it stored up there.
Yeah.
Or supplement the water company
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
And like, and I feel like they probably stopped it maybe because, like
The condition of the water tower, you mean?
yeah, like the condition and like in the winter maybe that took some toll on it. Maybe froze the water.
I don't think so, because there was so much water and it was constantly moving. Okay, water coming in and water going out to all of the community.
Yeah, because I go ice fishing. This current is not good for like moving water is not good for ice because it can still freeze, but it takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my first job. I was just a little squirt.
How old were you? 14, 15?
No, 12 to 13 probably. It was, well, and the reason I had the job is because it was Richard Smith's parents, okay, and they owned it. And so we just lived close together and we were friends growing up. And so he got me the job out there.
Well,
And this is interesting too because, matter of fact, just happen to have this picture and of the pier. The pier used to be bigger, I mean, out at the end, right?
yeah.
And you can look at this, and I'll just point this out to you here. Now, the end of the pier, here, okay, right down here. You could go out during the day, you used to be able to, and you could fish off the pier. And out on the end here, where you see it, was an outdoor movie theater, okay? And at night, obviously.
Yeah.
And I can always remember going there because you'd go there and you'd have a shirt on, a short sleeve, probably was summertime. But during the movie, the ocean breeze would kick up a bit and you'd start getting chilly. But it was quite a bit different anyway. And this is how the pier used to be, okay?
So,
many
like,
years
long.
ago, when they had the famous bands from everywhere used to come and play out there.
Yeah.
Okay?
And what town was the pier in?
Keep that if you want.
The pier, what town was that in?
That's right. You could tell all these stories too. The pier at low tide, I think, after low tide, the pier was in Saco. Old Orchard separated from Saco in 1883. And the reason, here we go, the reason they separated from Saco is because Saco wouldn't put enough fire engines or pumps or something down here, and Old Orchard had terrible fires, a series of
Yeah.
terrible fires.
I heard about that.
Yep. So, anyway, that's what
That's
happened.
like the fires split up Saco and Orchard pretty
Yep,
much.
yep,
Like,
yep.
like the pier looks so much bigger than it was, or
The new pier looks like
It is
half the
much bigger.
size.
like not
Yeah.
even like.
They had
How did they remove the? Because I either feel like that. I heard some of the pier did burn down, but did this big dancing talkies casino dancing
Yeah.
was? How did they like? Did that burn down or?
that was a storm that did most of the damage out there. The first pier they built, I believe, was all steel, and that just didn't make it at all.
I mean,
2 or
rust.
3 years.
Like rust and soul. I mean, that thing must have been. Yeah,
Yeah.
in like nowadays, I don't think the pier goes out really far. I mean, there's I wish it did, but there's.
I can't remember the extent now. Can you remember how far it went out? It was a
Don't
long
remember, it was
distance.
very long.
And,
I heard 16
and big boats were able to come to it.
Yeah.
So, but all that fell down. That was really early. Yep.
I heard it was once 4 times as big. It was like I don't know 1,600 feet or 1,600 yards, either or. And I don't remember exactly,
Yeah.
but I heard 1,600 feet. Like, would that be true or false?
I'm trying to think.
I had that train that went out there at one point.
A train?
Yeah. Well, it was a little one. It was on the pier.
That's kind of
And,
cool. Like,
yeah.
Hmm.
You could see pictures of that a lot of times online if you go back. Oh, you ever been to the historical?
yeah, we just
Museum?
yeah
The museum?
Yeah.
yeah
Oh
we
yeah,
went there.
And if you ask them about the pier and stuff, I'll bet behind the scenes they probably have a lot more pictures and they would show you.
Yeah, we actually went there. That's why we had to study up for this project.
Yep.
So we went here. So like we know what we're talking about, or like at least we can. We might not know everything, but we can catch on to most of it.
Yep.
Like they even had old fires from the pier, like ballrooms. What was the
They had
guy's?
disco ball.
Yeah,
see that?
yeah, that was cool.
Well, I would cut this, and I'm gonna ask another. Okay, I'll take this one. What year did you graduate from high school?
1951.
1950. Yeah, you were 18, I'm guessing. Yeah,
That was what?
How old were you?
yeah,
When I graduated,
yeah.
17.
So,
And then in July I became 18.
wow, yeah. Like, was high school different back then?
Oh, a whole different world. It was, the courses were all basic. First off, you have to remember, like I mentioned before, there was no technology. You know, you
No
simply
iPads. No.
no, you simply had the basics. You had math. You know, I mean, math, history, science, what they knew, and it's funny you mentioned which teacher did you like the best. I had a Mr. Hanson. He was my science teacher. He was just a pretty cool guy. You know? But it was, oh, here's something. Girls, back in those days, were only allowed to play half-court basketball. Girls could not play the whole court. It was the belief back in those days that women weren't physically strong enough to run the whole court. And of course now they're in football teams and wrestling and everything else, right?
Bad.
And run marathons. But yeah, half court.
What school were you in? Were you in this, where we are right now?
This is, well, oh, it's totally different here. I'm lost.
Right, but I
Oh
mean,
no,
this
no, it wasn't in
building.
this school. It was in the.
Jameson?
No, this is the middle school. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the basic part of it, they've added on, and but yeah, this was the school.
Yeah,
It
we
was
added
laid
on
out differently. It was, you came in through the door on the street. You came in, and then upstairs, going upstairs, and
Yeah.
the gym was hooked on. Yeah.
Like, were you in anything? Because I know my great grandfather.
Yeah.
He graduated when he was, I think, 15 or 16. Like, were you in anything advanced, like school related, or I don't know,
AP classes, you mean? Like advanced prep classes?
yes.
Did you take any special classes?
Like,
No, there were no special classes in not in that era.
I'm wondering what you guys did back then for like math, science. It has to be a lot different than now.
Oh,
Did you guys teach algebra, stuff like that?
well, yeah, like my senior year, I had algebra 2, geometry, and physics, and I can't even remember what the other course was. But I mean, there was such a long period of time where there was no progress, or at least that the public was aware of, right? In science and things like that. Today,
Math stuff, yeah.
well,
Did you
math has basically remained the same.
But evolved, like in some sort.
Yeah,
You didn't have calculators.
which you didn't have. I can remember when the first calculator came, and Hughes, remember Hughes, the millionaire, billionaire, or whatever he was, Howard Hughes,
Yep,
was
Howard
it?
Hughes, yep.
And now, it was his era, and they came out, and I know a guy that bought one, and it was a little tiny thing, and basically all it did was add, subtract, and multiply, and he paid
Divide?
$75 for it. $75 for this little thing that you find at Goodwill now. They just give them away. They don't even use them anymore, right?
We use calculators, but I mean, like we know stuff like a lot earlier now.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I heard 8th graders are even taking algebra. Like, yeah, like, you said you were making 20 cents an hour at
Yeah.
one time, and that would be, wow, that would be a while. I mean,
Well, the minimum wage today is $10, or did it go to 11? It's 11 now. The minimum wage today $11. Yeah.
yeah, like that. I feel like wouldn't $11 back then be a awesome job?
Awesome, I guess so.
Like is 20 cents per hour like compared to 11 is
Well,
like,
what's the percentage here? How much has it grown? Just think of that.
yeah,
How much
mean,
is
minimum wage 20 cents compared to 11. Yeah, it's yeah, but
Did you take cursive writing?
yeah, cursive, absolutely.
yeah,
I still do it once in a while, just so I won't forget.
it's sad, but I don't know cursive.
Yeah, I know, they don't even teach
Stop
it anymore.
teaching it.
You
Yeah,
know?
they stopped teaching it a few years ago. I mean, I'm an excellent reader, but it's like I can't tell when I'm reading cursive. I can make out words here and there, but like simple like is, as, S's are like, but yeah, they stopped teaching in second grade, I think, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I've learned how to read a little bit of cursive. I can't write it, but like I can understand like what some words are.
Yep.
Like some of the bigger, like because like that's a kind of a long letter word, like
Yep.
a lot of letters. So like I can like spell that out, and like I don't know, I just like I just know how to read a little bit of cursive.
I wish I could read it, but like writing, I feel like would be too, like, I think it would be better if we learned it like at first grade maybe, but sixth grade it's like,
Yeah. Well, you're so accustomed to, you know,
yeah, I
printing
mean,
or something. Yeah.
okay. So far,
Put it over anytime you want.
This is your interview. I'm just here, I'm along for the ride.
yeah,
Jeez.
okay. What are some things in OLB that drastically changed throughout your time living here? And have you been affected by it in any way? How did it make you feel?
What has drastically changed?
I mean, we were kind of talking about that in the last clip, but
Yeah.
Was there a bank here when you were a kid?
Actually, there was Saco and Benefit Savings was at the top of the street where it is, but before then, actually when I first opened, going way back, no, there weren't any banks. All right, and then Saco and Benefit opened, and then it was York National Bank, because back in those days, if you went to a savings bank, they didn't have checking accounts, okay?
was it
And
just
They only
cash?
gave home mortgages, personal loans, and the commercial banks, okay, which was York National when it moved down from Saco. They had a trailer here for 2 or 3 years right beside the town hall, and they did the commercial accounts and stuff, and then everything changed. But as far as the biggest impact,
Well, the fire station and the police station and the ballpark, wasn't that a big farm?
yes. Kim's dad was a fire chief here in Old Orchard too, at one time, and but when things started to progress and Old Orchard started to grow, those things became more important, and they moved the fire station from the town hall up to where it is today, up near the schools, and but to try to think of big impacts, you know,
Superintendent's office?
like
They know where the superintendent's office is. Where did it used to be?
the superintendent's office used to be, well, actually, way back, it was Saco. We were controlled by,
Right.
we shared him, or however it
But
was.
when they moved the superintendent's office to where it is now, where did they move it from? Was it the Titcomb farm?
Yes, I think it was. I'd forgotten all about that. Wow.
It was a farmhouse.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta interject something here before I forget it. When I was in the federal school, okay, Richardson's farm, which was down the road on the right, past the fire station, the police station, had cows. And they used to let the cows loose. And so the cows would be outside the federal school eating the grass. It was always, it was mowed and it was nice grass. So they'd come down there, and every time one of them made a noise or something, we'd all kind of chuckle, the cow outside. Well, when I was in the high school, okay, it was the seniors, a couple of senior boys, I think, and they brought one of the cows into the school, okay, and and then it did its woo or whatever it does, right? And it echoed throughout the school, and everybody was in hysterics. Of course, all the teachers were trying to keep control, but
like what is that? What?
yeah.
And almost like it goes. "Moo." Like,
What made it? I'm trying to think of impacts. I can tell you one thing. when the
It was
golf course started.
Right.
That was a huge impact on the orchard.
Isn't
Absolutely
it the
huge.
country club?
Benetton Saco Country Club on the Old Orchard Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been there a very long time in Saco.
So, like, did you ever go there? Or?
No.
Wow. Like, is
They
that
even used to have a wild animals up, where the golf course is, and on the other side there's a tenting and trailer park across the street. Well, that's where OSHA had he had wild animals. He had, I don't know, elephants and
elephants?
tigers. I don't know what he had up there. And I believe they buried an elephant up there somewhere that died. And at least that's what I heard. I don't,
Tell them about the donkeys on the ride downtown.
Oh yeah, we used to have the coal mine down before the pier. They used to call it the coal mine. And we also had Noah's Ark. And the donkey rides, they were all underground. Get in and they'd go down, and I still don't know how far they went. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, donkeys, and they used to keep them on
Francis Street.
Yeah. And,
Wait, that was a ride at Palace Playland?
Yeah, you got on not at Palace Playland. It was on Old Orchard Street.
It's where the Grand Victorian is now.
Yeah, right there on that. It was like near the corner of the Grand Victorian and East Grand Avenue. All right, and so they would you get in and on a little cart, and the donkey would pull you through this mine, and it was kind of dark, and lights here and there and stuff.
A real donkey?
Donkeys, real donkeys. Oh yeah, not.
Is like right now I was thinking like some mechanical donkey, but a real donkey. Wow, yeah.
That'd be fun.
And I heard the Noah's Ark burned down.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't it like I don't know. Yeah, it's like a big boat and it rocks.
Yeah.
That,
Oh yeah, that was a fun place to go to.
yeah.
Then I have to say this, and you boys will appreciate this. They used to have air hoses, so the girls would walk over this air hose, and all of a sudden it would lift their dresses up. Hoo hoo hoo. But
What the merry-go-round you went on, you had to pull the rings.
at the beginning of the pier, look at them. See?
Yeah, now we're going to
Oh,
get way
they're
off
boys.
subject now.
They're boys.
Yeah.
There used to be a merry-go-round. Just as you went up on the pier, the merry-go-round was on the left, okay? And what you would do is, I can't believe they did this, can you?
I wasn't around then, sorry.
Oh, no, that's right too. I keep forgetting how much younger she is. And you have to hang way off on your ride, going up and down and stuff. You'd hang way over, and there was a thing that where you get a brass ring, and you'd try to grab that brass ring. I can't even remember. You were supposed to throw it back in, I guess, after you got it, because you weren't supposed to keep it. And but they also had a giraffe there, Jeff the Giraffe.
For real.
I was not happy about that.
Such a creative name. Jeff.
Jeff the Giraffe.
Well,
Just after it burned down, the rings were all, you could find all the rings on the ground and everything.
Yes, yeah, they found a lot of rings, they did. And they also found rings up where the, not the, Lions Club, okay, is out there. When they were digging up that for a parking lot, they found rings out there too. Yeah.
A bunch of apple orchard adventures.
We had apple orchards all over Old Orchard.
yeah.
And as a matter of fact, that's how it got its name.
Old
Because,
Orchard.
yeah, they'd say we're going down to the old orchard. Okay, the apples were growing here. And
I
even the Vikings, there was some story when the Vikings were touring around here and they mentioned this orchard. It was probably a safer place to come in because you're protected from the worst of the storms here. And
And the good part during the winter, we don't, since we're right near a beach, the salty stuff, it kind of melts some of the snow already. I mean, like, sometimes it's a big snowstorm in the morning, but by the time in the afternoon, it's all over.
yeah,
The snow's even melted. So, yeah.
So what did they use for a plow then?
the what?
How did you get around in your little Model T?
This is funny, but the Model A, Model
Oh, sorry.
T is older.
Sorry.
The Model A. The Model A Ford had thin tires, okay, but they were much higher. If you put a Model A Ford beside a new car, the new car is lower. Well, when you're trying to go through any kind of deeper snow, oftentimes that snow will lift you up and you can't get traction. You can't be solid. While the old Model A Ford would go through all kinds of snow. It was pretty neat, really.
Had Henry Stewart already been done?
Oh,
That's what I was trying
she
to...
keeps feeding me information. Henry Stewart, okay. Henry Stewart, they didn't have the equipment back in the old days to clean the beach, okay? So they took Henry Stewart, and he had horses, and they used to be right by the town hall. Major and Colonel were the name of the horses. So Henry used to pull the horses. They had a special rake, all right? And Henry would clean the beach. In addition, in order to justify keeping Henry on year-round, right, they had him pick up trash. So Henry would go around with his wagon and,
Excuse me. Just got squeezed there.
and pick up trash. And he would pick up trash, and anyway, he would also.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I had to get on my board. He picks up a lot of trash.
But it was part of an era.
Yeah.
Anyway, Henry was, yeah.
Okay. This is a question for both of you. Like, have you been to like any famous bands? Like, I heard there are bands in the pier, even in the ballpark. There's like, heard Kiss, a whole bunch of rock bands, John Bon Jovi, a whole-
Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm. Just
I
about
went
to
to
say
the
that.
Aerosmith concert.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that was really neat. My daughter was only like 4 years old. She fell asleep during the concert.
I fell asleep during I don't know. I went to some concert with my family, and my family was nagging at me because I felt like I was like 7. Yeah. Like, did you see any like famous bands? Like,
You know what's interesting? Where we moved to on Portland Avenue, it was around 42, I think. Anyway, we were right across the street from the Cummings family. Now, the Cummings family was a black family, right? And
Yes.
E. Emerson Cummings used to be a math teacher in the school, okay? He graduated from Bates. Well, at the Cummings family, back in my era, they wouldn't allow blacks to stay in white places.
yes,
Okay.
we've heard. Yeah.
So the famous black bands used to stay at the Cummingses, and I used to see these people. The thing was, I wasn't old enough to realize what I was seeing, okay? And it was, to this day, and they all, well, there was a black couple that used to come every year, about almost the year I was born, and then for years, they used to come and stop and see us after they came to Old Orchard. But it's, when you think you were next door to history, and you know, and you weren't even aware, and all of a sudden when I'm older, and I start thinking, holy mackerel, you know, I saw those guys, you know, with all their equipment. I can remember they all come in.
That's what I was trying to. I remembered a famous musician, Johnny Cummings, or no, something Cummings. It's been biting at me. About 5 clips ago, yeah, the musician. Like, so you actually live next to
Across the street,
the E. Cummings? Yes, E. Cummings.
E. Cummings, Edward Emerson Cummings. Yep.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, you actually live next to them?
Across the street.
Wow. Like, I think it's sad that, like, they even segregated people back then. I mean,
Yep.
we're all the same in each and every way. I mean, everybody has something in common.
Yep.
Maybe they have a finger, an eye, an ear. Everybody has something in common.
Young man, I like your views on it. That's nice.
Yeah.
Because there's so much hate and prejudice in this world, and we don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
I have a philosophy. If you're a nice person, I like you. If you're not a nice person, I don't like you. I don't care your color. I don't care where you pray. I don't care about any of these things. If you're a decent human being, I like you. Right?
Did you used to play with one of the Cummings kids?
I used to play with the little black kids who used to come in the summer over there. And my sister was and Ann Cummings, one of the girls, who would have been Emerson's youngest sister. Okay? And she went to school with them. They're real good friends. Yeah.
And Clarence?
And Clarence Roberts was another. Old Orchard was probably the only place in the state of Maine where they had two black men on the town council the same year. That was Emerson Cummings was on the council also, and Clarence Roberts was there, and I thought that was pretty neat. Anyway,
Like, I'm just nitpick about something, but my dad always says he doesn't like people his own age. He likes people like when he gets along with people, he doesn't get along with people his age.
and what's your last name?
Benson.
What is it?
Benson.
Benton?
No.
Son. Benson.
Oh, Benson. Okay.
Yeah.
Benson. If your dad comes in the clerk's office, tell him to say hi to Jeff.
Yeah. Now, my grandfather and my grandmother lived in Old Orchard back, back.
What were their names?
See, come on. Linda, and yes, Linda and Ron Benson.
What is it?
Linda and Ron Benson.
Benson. The name is vaguely familiar, but I'm not.
Because I can't believe I almost forgot my grandfather's name. We all have the same name. I'm Benson. I'm the third Benson. Exact same name.
I know
Okay.
all about the Plant family.
Yeah. Ronald Richard Benson the third. Then,
Ronald Richard Benson III.
yep. Then the second. Goes Ronald Richard Benson the second, then the third.
So what's Rowan?
And Ronan, my mom didn't like the name, and my dad and my mom agreed on Ronan. So
Nice.
I'm not called Ronald. Probably won't, but my name is Ronan. That's
I like that name. It's a good name.
What do they call you?
Ronan.
Ronan?
Yep. That's
They haven't shortened it. Usually that's the big American way, isn't it?
well,
The short names.
they just like this name. My dad even said he would change my name and again in a heartbeat. To Ronan. Yeah. Okay. That was a little too much about me, but well, yeah. I think we even if we have an extra 15. I talk a lot. Okay. What was one of your favorite things to do in OOB? Do you have a favorite thing to do in OOB now?
Well, I tell you, at my age, we're just deeply involved. We have 4 sons, we have 6 grandchildren, and we have 3 great-grandchildren. So that's the most fun for Colleen and I, you know? Yeah, with having your kids around and stuff, and the babies, and it's just, yeah.
I think your granddaughter goes to her school, or is it your
Granddaughter,
Yeah,
yeah,
granddaughter.
yep,
Yeah, Charlotte Thompson.
yep,
That's your granddaughter?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
like.
she
I know
actually
that.
talked to. She said you're interviewing my grandfather. There's a lot of families in Old Orchard Beach that are related.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's nice to have related families.
Yeah, I mean, his family's
Yeah. Well, your grandfather and I were in school together. Okay? He was actually he was a tough kid. As a matter of fact,
Boxing coach.
Huh?
Boxing coach. He was all into sports. Like,
oh, but yeah, he was a tough kid in school, playing football.
Oh, I play football. We both do.
Do you?
No,
Yeah.
He's quarterback. I'm a lineman.
I played it. Then broke my thumb playing against Thornton. We only played 2 years. And now they're going to go to 8-man.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that works out.
Wait, Thornton's changing their name? No, no.
no.
8-man football.
Yeah, like it's instead of 11, it's gonna be 8-man football.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's
8-man
actually gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be work better for the smaller schools.
Well, that's what they feel.
Yeah.
They just don't have enough students to field a strong enough football team. You know.
We actually had like a backup for almost every
Yeah,
player.
we did in middle
Did you?
school.
But in our school, it was a lot of our 8th graders don't do sports. I've noticed that.
They play basketball. A bunch of the 8th graders play basketball.
And some baseball, but
Yeah.
not like it's not huge. It's
Yep.
Off topic, but what was like? Were we all? You went to school here, right?
Yes.
So was our mascot always the Seagulls?
Sandy
Was what?
Seagull.
Our mascot's called the Seagull.
Always.
It was.
Yeah.
It's
I
been
don't
all.
ever remember anything different.
It
Always.
was.
I'll tell you another little story quickly.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I go
Get going.
sideways on these things. Old Orchard was playing a team for the state championship, and it was upstate, and either that or for the playoffs. Anyway, this team had been beating everyone else by like 42-7, and you know that kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
We're thinking, holy Christmas! And they had this end. He was like 6'5" or something. I mean, you know, he could
That's
reach over anybody to catch a pass.
Scary.
Well, it was a close game all the way. I mean, and I was standing with Geyer and Maureen's sister's husband.
Tom? Coffee?
No, but anyway, we all stayed in the same place that season. We all stood just the same. We didn't want to break the luck because they were doing well. Anyway, at halftime, okay, a seagull comes and lands right down in the middle of the field. Well, the Old Orchard fans went crazy. It was the neatest thing. It was almost like a publicity stunt, right? And we ended up winning. Anyway, it was a close game, but they won. But I'll never forget that seagull.
It feels like every road game I go to for football, it feels like there's always at least one seagull just like flying around. It's funny. But it's like,
Maybe it's an omen, right?
yeah.
Yeah, my dad called me the Trojan Seagull because I actually played for. I did wrestling in Saco,
You did too.
in Trojan, and I did. At the time, I think OB I was doing I was doing an OOB sport too. So, and together he called me the Trojan Seagull. And so every time I think of seagulls, I just think of a little seagull with armor on.
That's neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. We haven't even got through all the trophy. Okay. Good. Okay. What was one you... No, I already said that one. What made you want to stay in OOB as an adult? Do you still feel that way?
Read that again.
What made you stay... No, what made you want to stay in OOB as an adult?
You know, it's funny because there were many times that I thought about, after I was married, about moving up somewhere, and we thought it'd be nice to have a few acres of land and go upstate and all this kind of stuff. But the jobs I had, or the job I had, was here, you know, and at that point in time, there weren't too many places I could go, okay? And guess we're going beyond our time.
We still have 15 minutes left.
Oh. Anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
we're fine.
So anyway, I almost left one time to go work for New England Tel, and they offered me Boston, Providence, or Springfield, Madison, and I got down there, and I thought, I hate the city, just hated the city, and there's a fascination with Old Orchard, even like moving out. We'd think about it and then we'd say, nah, you know. And
Hold off a few more years.
It's it's home, and you're used to it. And you know the beauty about here is, of course, especially when you're older and you have doctors and hospitals that are close. You know, I mean, you're old. Your chances of things happening are pretty great, but everything is convenient here now. Right?
Yeah, everything's
I mean,
walking.
And in 20 minutes, you can be out in the pucker brush somewhere, right? I mean, you can be out in the country in 20 minutes. You walk up through Biddeford, Saco, or, you know, and just so you can get away. You know, I'd hate to live around the Boston area. Absolutely hate it.
Traffic is
Oh, no.
like a nice country house near a lake
It's always calm here. It's like chill, like
until the
just
tourists come.
nice here.
Yep.
Good home.
How about the bank you worked in and where it was located? In Old Orchard.
Oh, okay. I was manager of the bank. Well, first it was Canal Bank, and then Canal was taken over by Key Bank. And so right in back of the town hall, on our other parking lot, there was a round, all-glass bank. At one time, it was the only round, all-glass bank in the country. It wasn't very big, and it was built by Joseph Deering, who owned the Deering Lumber Company in Saco. But it was neat, you know. And,
It was all glass. Like
pardon?
the building was kind of like surrounded.
Well, I mean, it had steel frames, but it had big glass windows all around,
Oh,
from the ceiling to the ground, and that was pretty neat. And
And the safe was in the basement,
oh yeah,
the bank safe.
we were we used to down in the basement. We used to count, since we were the only bank, and the Saco and Biddeford Savings couldn't have checking accounts. So all the businesses in the village, just about, maybe a few of them went to Biddeford or something, but primarily they all came to us. And so we used to have table loads of money. And I can remember we had this big long, probably an 8-foot table, and we had all the money cashed. And one of the big VPs came down with somebody else, and they were inspecting, and he walks down, and we have this huge amount of money, and he says, "I'm out of here." But anyway, it was pretty nice. A lot of fun working.
yeah.
And in your hometown, you know a lot of people, you know.
Like, I mostly know, I don't know about Brady, but I know mostly, I get a little lost, like, past the pier. I mean, like, once you go out of the pier, like, I get a little lost, but I ride my bike to the pier, back. I mean, it's a nice small town. I mean, I walk to school, I don't take the bus. Sometimes it's nice.
Oh yeah, you know, and you'll always have you wherever you go in life. And the odds of you staying locally are slim today. You know, the odds are you have to go where the jobs are, right?
You know, like,
You know, unfortunately. I mean, don't worry about that at your
So-
age, but
some people either love their job or love where they live, and it's hard to get both.
Mhm.
Like,
try to remember this. When I got out of the service, they gave you did intelligence tests and answered all kinds of questions and everything else. And the man that conducted it for me, with me, said, be what makes you happy. You know, like we think, go out and where can I make the most money? You know, it's all these kind of things. But so many people end up in jobs and they're putting 40 hours a week in. That's something they do not like. And lots of the big jobs too, they take a lot of your time. They want the special meetings and you have to travel or something, and there's all kinds of downsides you know, for people. So be what makes you happy. If you never remember anything else, remember that. It's a much happier week. Okay.
He has a question.
Yes.
It's kind of off topic, but like, what was your favorite restaurant like back then, and what's your favorite restaurant now?
Holy mackerel.
Like downtown, like favorite place to like stop and get some food.
Okay, this is interesting in a way, because way back when I was young, the only time we went to a restaurant was once a year, and that was at school shopping. And we might go to Biddeford. They used to have a lot of stores on the main street in Biddeford. Or we might go to Portland. You know, we'd take the bus in and go to Portland. And I can remember in Portland, they had the same named restaurant as they did in Biddeford, which was the Puritan. And but today, you know, it depends on what you want for food.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, my wife and I eat out a lot. You know, we go to different places and we try different places. And holy mackerel.
It's like seafood, and then you get like French fries and pizza. And
Or Italian food.
Yeah.
Gimme Degrees. Or an old place, Ocean Pizza. That was sad when that came down.
You know, I'm not sure anymore, because somebody tells us another recommendation, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, people come in, customers or friends or the group, Kim and Charlene that I work with. She's the boss, by the way. She's the boss lady. And I'm not really sure any longer. There's places I'm not even going to say the places I don't like anymore, because that's not right.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. It's funny, sometimes you go to a restaurant, say you get fish, and it's elegant, and the next time you go there,
It's
it's not so great.
it's
you
like
know?
Yeah.
So consistency is the big thing, and I can't even answer honestly.
Yeah.
You know, wish I could tell you, but
Because every day you're
I can
feeling
tell you
something
one thing:
different.
I like ice cream.